Scaling your offer to $1 million is not complicated. In fact, I would argue that it's as simple as finding a boring, high-demand offer that you're just willing to commit to. I'm Dylan, founder of Catalyst Holdings, a marketing agency that makes $300,000 a month by scaling and acquiring other marketing agencies and B2B service companies. Every month, we speak to thousands of people struggling to scale their business and their offer. And then occasionally, we speak to a few, usually less talented founders that are blowing everybody else out of the water, scaling 5 times faster and easier. Now in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 simple concepts that these few people understand and are using to scale to $1 million without a ton of experience or skills. All right, so the first concept that they understand is how to pick an in-demand offer. It's no secret that if you sell something that is in demand, it's so much easier and so much faster to scale to $1 million. But the thing is that we only create demand by one of 2 ways. We either build our own demand, i.e. we build a personal brand, we run a ton of ads, we create these complex funnels, we do all these marketing campaigns to create demand about what it is that we're selling. We have a ton of social proof testimonials, all that kind of stuff. Or we just find something that people already want and give them it. All right, now I'll give you an example of what this looks like in real life. If you were to go today and you were to come to me today and you were to say, hey Dylan, I have this amazing toilet paper idea. Like I'm gonna start this amazing toilet paper offer where I'm going to have the best branding and the best marketing and the best all this kind of stuff. I would be like, honestly, like that's probably not going to work, because why would I buy your toilet paper when I could just go to Costco and buy a bunch of toilet paper for cheap? It's a commodity thing and I don't really care about it, right? Now, on the flip, if you came to me 4 or 5 years ago or whenever that COVID thing started to like come about and like for some reason people thought that they were running out of toilet paper and it was like this huge in-demand thing and you're like, hey Dylan, I found my way to get my hands on a bunch of toilet paper. I'm going to sell that now. I'd be like, rip it. You're going to be one of the fastest millionaires I've ever seen in my life. The thing is that like I was saying earlier, the only 2 ways to create demand is we either create demand or we either find something that is in demand already. Now, the thing is what most of us are trying to do, and the reason why it's so hard for so many people to scale is they're trying to create their demand, right? And that's why you see all these marketing, these funnel concepts and like all that kind of stuff, right? But then what happens, let's just do a simple supply and demand chart here, right? We'll put supply over here and demand over here. And so what happens when we choose something that has very high supply right here, well, demand becomes very low. And then if you passed economics in grade 5, you know that then therefore the only way to then sell in these markets is to lower your price. And that's why when you see these offers targeting coaches and consultants and info products and real estate, like all these general niches, and whether you're selling AI, info, marketing agency, doesn't matter. When you're going after these niches that have a lot of supply, have a lot of people also trying to sell to those niches, it becomes very, very hard to sell. Now, fun fact, we and our clients here, we've worked with over 500 clients just in the past 12 months alone, right? And I've built every single one of their offers, right? And about a month ago, I was doing some research as we were creating this new kind of revamped how to build an offer document. And I went through all the data from all the companies that we've ever worked with, right? And I wanted to pick the top 10 best performing offers that we've had of all time. What I ended up realizing was that 10 out of 10 of the top performing offers that we've ever run all were targeting in demand and or untapped niches. And that is when I first realized that the first concept as to why these less talented beginners are scaling so much faster and easier than some of these guys that come to us and they've been running their real estate marketing agency for 3 years and they have 8 case studies. Like why are these like beginners with like no skills serving out so much faster? It's because they're selling something that people actually want, right? And so how do we actually figure out what it is that people actually want, right? Well, we go on to ChatGPT and we just ask, depending on your niche, your model, what you're offering, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're a marketing agency, whatever the case may be, you just go and say, hey, I provide this service and I have these skills. In my market, these are all of these saturated niches, right? Can you find me a niche that can benefit from these skills that I already have, that has high purchasing power and is a high value niche, but doesn't have a lot of competition, right? And that's all you have to do, right? And some of the best case studies that we have come from people not even really changing their niche, but just slightly switching up. I'm talking about going from residential real estate agents to commercial real estate agents that specialize in leasing office buildings, right? Like nobody has ever gone, or very few people have ever gone to a commercial real estate agent specializing in office buildings and made them the same offer that a million cajillion real estate agents get. And guess what? The service delivery and the skills to deliver that result is exactly the same. It's just 5 times easier and faster to acquire those clients and then actually actually scale that business when you're going over these untapped niches that have high demand, but they just don't have the supply to back it up. So the first concept as to why these less talented people are scaling so much faster than some of our more experienced clients is because that they pick something that is actually in demand, as opposed to trying to create all these complex funnels and case studies and all that kind of stuff to build a brand to try and create demand about who it is that they are. Now, the second thing is that they offer an easy and simple service. Right now, this actually goes hand in hand with the supply and demand concept that we were talking about earlier. Because what sometimes happens, and again, it's an effort to create your own demand, is that when you go into these more complicated, more saturated niches, right, in order to stand out, you end up having to create these super complex AI automation, like all this crazy stuff to try and again create demand in a market that has no demand. And then as a result, you spend like your product is so complicated, your onboarding is so complicated, and it becomes incredibly difficult to scale. Right now, from the people that we're seeing that are scaling a lot faster and easier, they're just running like Facebook or Google ads, right? Or they're just offering basic service, like basic lead generation services. But then once again, just to people who have never really truly been offered that. On one hand, you could have a ton of AI complex automations. You could have an entire coaching program. You could bring experts in. You could provide sales scripts to residential real estate agents, or you could go to agricultural land brokers, people who buy and sell farmland, and just offer them Facebook ads and get them leads, which they don't know how to do and they've never done before. And a few leads per month will completely change their life. And so that's the second thing. Not only are they choosing these better niches, but they're also choosing super easy and simple to deliver services. All right, so we've covered that the people that are scaling faster and easier without a ton of experience or skills are choosing untapped niches, and they're offering simple, easy to deliver services. But there's one concept that we've seen, which has been the make or break for people's success, which is they understand the proper expectations of what it takes to scale one of their clients' companies, and they reiterate those expectations to the client. I actually sat down with one of my clients the other day, who ironically was in residential real estate agents. Now, that being said, their offer was still crushing because they were in a unsaturated country, right? That's another way that you can also create in demand. Is like if you know everybody in America is pitching real estate agents, just go pitch real estate agents in like Sweden, right? And that's kind of the type of thing that this individual was doing, and that's why they were still seeing success. But the thing is that even though that they had a really good in-demand offer and they had a very simple service delivery, all they're really doing is Facebook ads and go high level, they were still stressed out and struggling because they didn't think that their clients were getting results and their clients were complaining to them, et cetera, right? And so when I broke down what it is that they were actually doing, I was like, okay, how much are you spending per month on your clients? They're like, about $500 to $1,000. Okay. And I was like, oh, now what does your client actually make when they sell a listing, for example? Right? Oh, like they'll make about $10,000 to $15,000 in commission. Okay. Now, after they make that $10,000 to $15,000 in commission, how many times will that client do business with them again? Right? Oh, usually like 2 to 3 times. Okay. So what you're saying then is that each client that you bring them over lifetime is probably worth anywhere between $30,000 to $60,000. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Now, in addition to that, how many referrals? Oh, I would say each client usually brings on average another client. Okay. So that's another 30 to 60 grand. Okay. So let's just break this down for a second. You get one client. Wait, one client for your client, right? And this equals, we'll do a $10,000 commission plus another $10,000 commission plus another $10,000 commission on average over their lifetime. This is buying homes, selling homes, all that kind of stuff, right? And then in addition to that, you're also getting a referral, which does 10K times 2 or times 3 as well. Right? So when you total that, right, this one client is generating your client $60,000 in new business. And you're expecting that your $1,000 that you're spending on ads is going to equate to $60,000, which is a 60x return. Well, let me tell you something. If I could get a 60x return running simple lead gen real estate ads, like I would be a real estate agent. And they're like, oh yeah, that's kind of crazy. Right? And this is the thing. They were in a losing battle because this is what their client was expecting of them. They were expecting that they were going to be able to get one-ish listing per month on average. And that listing and that new client that they were going to generate was going to bring them an average lifetime value of $60,000, and they were going to only have to spend $1,000 to do it. Well, some of the biggest and most fastest scaling companies in the world are scaling on 5 to 1, 10 to 1, and even 15 to 1 to returns, right? So let's do a 10 to 1. Well, a 10 to 1 return over lifetime would mean that we're allowed to spend $6,000 to acquire a listing. Now, the thing is in the entire 90-day contract that my client had with their clients, they weren't even spending $6,000 on ads on that entire contract. But even if they did, and they only got one client as a result, they would still get a 10-to-1 return. And that would be a massively profitable and super scalable business. And so I said, hey, if I was a real estate agent, I would spend 10K a month on ads. And then what I would do is, like, even if I break even on month one, and I do that for 2 years, right? So 10K, right? And so 2 years, that's 12, that's 24 clients. 24 clients times an average lifetime value of 60K, right? I'll do the math right now. That equals $1.4 million. You're getting where this is going, right? In order to do that, they would have spent $240,000 on ads. Now, if I asked you, would you spend $240,000 to make 1.4 million? I think everybody would say yes. That's an insane return. It's $1.2 million in profit from your advertising. But the reason why you're struggling to get your client results is because you're stuck with these 1K a month ad budgets, expecting to turn that into a $60, $70, $100,000 in lifetime value. And then what ended up happening is that once my client understood this, and then they explained this to their clients stopped complaining, increased their ad budgets, and as a result, began to get the results. And now that company's service delivery is doing better. And in addition to that, because they're in an untapped niche to begin with, and because they have a simple, easy to deliver service like Facebook ads, and then they're just understanding these expectations and delivering them onto their clients, this is why these companies are scaling 5 times faster and easier than the ones who have all these complicated service deliveries and crazy guarantees and all these kind of stuff in these saturated niches. Now, if you want help with choosing one of these niches, building your offer, and setting up your service delivery, I'll do it all for you. First link in your bio. In addition to that, if you have any questions or comments like this, just leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.